One of the many benefits of being a Martz Wealth Management client is the opportunity to meet and speak with industry specialists and professionals. Our speaker for the Forecast 2016 Past and Present event is Brian Martz, Vice President of Tech Guides Incorporated. Brian has almost 20 years of experience in the computer and technology industry. This presentation was recorded on January 27, 2016.
I'm going to introduce Brian. Brian is from Tech Guides, Inc., and he's going to be talking tonight about how to protect information on the internet. Brian is the Vice President of Tech Guides and has been with the company since October 2002. He graduated from Gannon University with a BS in Business Administration and Marketing and was also a 4-year letterman for the wrestling team during his time there. His career with computers began working as an assistant manager for a technical and graphic design staffing firm in Washington, D.C. From there, he opened their Dallas office and then came to Philadelphia as the Director of Business Development. And that's where Brian met Jeff Sumner, the owner of Tech Guides, and the rest, they say, is history. Outside of work, Brian's an Eagle Scout, the head coach for Phoenixville PAL youth wrestling team, and a board member of the Intercounty Wrestling League. His oldest daughter is an accomplished singer and violinist at her school, and his youngest daughter is a competitive gymnast at Phoenixville YMCA. And somehow his wife keeps all this together and running smoothly. So, thank you, Brian. I'd like to wish you a warm welcome.
Thank you. Okay, as Melissa said, my name is Brian Martz. I'm with Tech Guides. Been with them for quite a while. We've been working with Melissa's company for about a year now. So we've been in business, like Melissa said, for 13. I've been with the company for 13 years. We've been around for 16. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is just security awareness, making sure you're paying attention what's around you, and a lot of it's just what some people call common sense, but it's not always common sense. You know, you're not always paying attention and looking at little details for things. So we want to talk about what to look for in emails, what to look for when you're on the internet, and just things to keep you safe, you know, from all the people who are out there in the world. So the objectives we're going to get to understand what your role is in security training. We're going to talk about common ways that people will try to trick you into doing things that they want you to do, and then also some red flags to look for, and what some typical, and I got a couple examples of some emails that you'll see. So, most of what the training that I go over is based off a person called Kevin Mitnick. If you don't know who he is, that's fine. No, not a lot of people do, but he is basically was the world's first hacker. He was doing the type of stuff that, you know, we're going to cover today back in the early 80s when, you know, computers were still fairly new. Not a lot of security was out there, and you didn't really have to worry about too much. Now that he served his time behind bars for all the stuff he did and was bad at doing, he's a high-level consultant and has his own company about doing security stuff. Things we're going to cover, what your role is, common traps, and then, like I said, red flags. Are you a target? Everybody's a target. Whenever we're looking at cybersecurity and things like that, and you'll see some of this a little later, it's easier for me to convince you as an individual to click on something than for me to break into a company's system. To break into companies' computers and firewalls, there's a lot of stuff I have to try and penetrate around, try and crack, get into, and things like that. But if I can convince one person to click on a link and give me their credit card information, that's a lot easier, especially when I can do a blast email to millions of people at one time. And if I get, again, just one person, then it was successful. Who can protect you? What they're trying to do is trick you into bypassing any security protocols that you already have. So if you have antivirus, or you have firewalls, or you have any other software, they're trying to trick you into putting software on your computer that bypasses that, or in most cases will even disable it. So you may think your antivirus is working and checking your computer, but their software has essentially turned it off. They'll manipulate you, getting into your computer, your tablet, your phones, and the only person that can protect you in most cases is you. We can put as computer professionals, we can put as much stuff in place to protect you, whether it be hardware with firewalls and things like that, or software such as antivirus, anti-malware, but I can't keep you from clicking on something or opening something you shouldn't. So there's a bunch of different attachments that you'll see that will come through in an email, an exe file, different ones, TXT, PDF, and document. And a real quick question, of these, what do you think is the safest attachment to always open? PDF? EXE? Never open an EXE. Nope. Text. Text file. Text file is the only file that you can always safely open, because a text file is the pure text. It's the notepad that you have on your computer or text editor that you'll have on your computer. It can only hold text. It can't hold different commands, or like Microsoft Word will have macros that embed different functions into a document. Same thing with PDF document. Well, yes, it's safe for sending different files around. You don't have to worry about people manipulating them, but I can embed different things into a PDF document as well. So, a common term you'll hear a lot is called malware. That's kind of the umbrella term that you'll hear. It covers viruses, worms, Trojans, backdoors, and any other type of malicious software. So malware is the term that you'll hear a lot if you're talking to computer guys at Best Buy, Geek Squad, things like that. Other terms that I'll talk about and just things for you to be aware of. Social engineering. Social engineering is really what is happening with a lot of this stuff. It's the tricking you into doing stuff. Going back to Kevin Mitnick, his big thing that he would do, again, this is back in the 80s, is he would call up a corporation's IT department at midnight, tell the IT guy that answers, the low level, hey, this is the CEO, I forgot my password, reset it and give it to me. CEO said, I want my password reset. They would reset it, Kevin would get the password, and now he's got access to the systems. And social engineering is something that we probably all have done at one point or another. Have you ever forged your parents' signature on a document? No, I know you didn't. Call up, pretend that you're your wife or your husband when you're calling the electric department or the electric company, things like that. I know in my company, we do it all the time. There's so much stuff that we have set up for our clients, and they need a point of contact. 9 times out of 10, we'll use my name as that point of contact. Well, when somebody else in my company needs to call that vendor, whatever, they're not going to say, hey, this is Chris Allen. They're going to say, hey, this is Brian Martz. And they'll ask for the security code, and my guys know what the security codes are. So, they're pretending to be me. They're basically social engineering their way into helping our clients through different vendors that they work with. Spam messages, spam email, those are the fun things that you'll get all the time. The weight loss, refinance your mortgage, drugs from Canada, things like that. Spam messages, that's just where they're blasting as much as they can at everybody, anybody. They don't care who you are, what you do, where they got your email. They're just sending everything to see what happens. Phishing emails, this is when they're getting a little more targeted. So a phishing email is they're trying to get account information about your credit card, online shopping accounts, bank statements, any other paid type service that you would have where you're paying money for an account. And then spear phishing, that's when they are targeting specifically at a group or an organization. So they'll target everybody that has a Wells Fargo account, or they're going to target everybody that has iTunes, or even more specifically, they'll go after a company. They'll say, all right, we're going to go after, Martz, which they would never do because we take care of them. They're going to go after a specific organization and just blast as much stuff at a company to try and get into that specific organization. The big thing, and this is why this is in such bold letters, when it comes to what you do, think before you click. You get an email, or you're going to click on a website, or you do a Google search, and you look at it, and if your gut just doesn't tell you that it's okay, stop. And that's why, the overall theme of what we do and what we say all the time to our clients, and even within our own company, because it does happen to everybody, think before you click. Before you open that attachment, before you click on that Google search you just did, think about what you're going to click on. Antivirus software, we all should have it, I hope. Symantec, who creates Norton Antivirus, which is one of the biggest and well-known antivirus applications out there, only 3% of the malware, the bad stuff that goes out there, tries to exploit a technical flaw. So when you hear of issues with Microsoft's operating system or Apple's operating system where they have to send updates to close loopholes, only about 3% of the bad stuff out there in the world is going after that. 97% is ever trying to trick you. They're trying to, again, it's easier for me to convince you to click on an email or click on a link than for me to try and go after Microsoft. Websites, social networking really is where a lot of this stuff, I think, originates and what they thrive on. Things like Skype, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn is one of the worst. Any chat rooms, other things like that. That's where they're really trying to get you, because what they're doing is they're creating fake profiles. And LinkedIn is a huge one. Not as much now because people are getting smarter, but it's a huge one because they'll create a fake profile just to gain access to what you put on LinkedIn. Because most people on Facebook, they'll be a little cautious what they put about themselves, and things like that. But on your LinkedIn, it's professional. It's a professional networking website. So you're going to put where you went to college, what your degree was in, what boards you sit on, what organizations you belong to, different things like that. You'll put a lot more information on LinkedIn than you may put on Facebook or things like that. So they'll go and create fake profiles, and they'll try and make connections with people. And you're like, oh, well, John knows Bob, who I know, so I must, I'll friend John through LinkedIn. John's not real. John's just trying to gather information about you. And that's where a lot of, on the corporate side, you'll see they'll go after the CFOs and finance directors to try and get information about who is in charge of the money at big companies. Other things with social networking, they'll try and get you to click on different links, different applications. They'll want you to download their video player so you can watch that cat video playing with the ball of yarn. They'll want you to put other things on your phone and your tablet and things like that. Pretty much everything that you want to watch video-wise, if it can't play on a video player you already have on your computer, you don't need to install it. I don't care how cute that kitten is with the ball of yarn, you don't want to install any video players from any other websites. Other ways, again, going back to social networking, install the free game, download an application to watch their videos, as I had mentioned. Urgent fake messages that pop up, your computer's infected. When you see those, all those are website browser windows that have gone full screen. They aren't, it's not a message really on your machine. You clicked on something, you opened something, their code for the screen made their window go full screen, and it looks like your computer's locked up. It's really not. Everything's still running behind it. You just can't see it or minimize it. Sending you updates from Microsoft or Adobe. Microsoft or Adobe or any other reputable software company will not email you about an update. They'll just push it through their program. So you get those emails about, click here to update your Microsoft, or click here to update Adobe, or click here to update iTunes or QuickTime. Those companies will not email you about updates. They just push them through their software. Calling you on the phone. This is a big one that has started a couple years ago. You'll get a call from Bob saying, your computer's been infected. Let me make a remote connection and I'll clean it up for you. They'll say they're from Microsoft, or they're from Norton, or they're from somewhere else. Again, Microsoft's not going to call you. As much as you think, they're not going to call you. They Microsoft doesn't care. They're just pushing their software, pushing their updates. They're not monitoring your computer. So when you get those calls from Bob, from India or wherever he happens to be, don't set up a remote session with him to let him and fix something on your computer. Because when they do, what they're doing, all they're doing is they're going to get your credit card number. They're going to charge you $69.99, $199, something like that. And they're putting software on your computer to then track everything you do. They're not trying to fix anything or clean anything up for you. If they do install software, they're going to install some antivirus software that costs $29, and they just charge you $99. So if you ever do that, contact a professional. Have them look at your computer. Clean it up. In most cases, my recommendation would be erase the hard drive and start over. A lot of this stuff you really can't remove. When we get clients that get infected with stuff really bad, we don't even try and clean it. We just pull the hard drive, put a new one in, reinstall everything. So, anybody that calls and asks for your bank account number to transfer you money, we've all met that Nigerian prince. We've all got that letter. I'm still waiting for my money. I don't know about you guys. Again, they're not going to call you to get that information. And then calling you on the phone with the offer you can't refuse. I actually had to put this one in recently because it happened to somebody in my company. One of my senior level technicians got a offer he couldn't refuse from DirecTV pay for 75%, 9 months, get the year free. Did the whole thing, everything looked legit. Gave him his credit card, they ran it, got his bill from DirecTV the next month. Nothing in there about it. It was a 100% scam. And like I said, it happens to everybody. He even did his research, looked into everything, the links in the email, everything looked legit. And that unfortunately wasn't one of them. Mobile malware is also a thing that's starting to grow. I mean, we all have them. We all have our phones. How much stuff do you have on your phone? You've probably got more personal and confidential data on your phone than you have on your computer. You've got apps for your bank accounts, for your credit cards, everything like that. It's all on your phone. So where most of that stuff is trying to come through is through tweets or text messages. So if you get a random text message from somebody you don't know, or it's just got 4 or 5 numbers at the top, but it's got a link in the text, don't click it. Just delete the text. So what if you do make an error? What are they trying to do? What they're trying to do is steal your documents from you or spy on you. They're going to install what's called a keystroke logger. And what all that does is records everything you type on your computer all day long. They'll use that information to break into other computers then. Because what they're trying to do, whether they're trying to get your bank account information or your information like that, they're also trying to set up a mini network. So some of them can go after those big companies, the Walmarts, the Targets, the Home Depots. They're going to take the processing power of hundreds or thousands of computers to make an attack to go after the big ones. If you do something, the best thing you do, and I tell all of our clients, admit what you did. Anytime we get a call from a client that says, oh, something wrong with my computer, but I didn't do anything. Okay? Tell the person that's going to work on your computer what you did, what you clicked on, what you opened. If you have a company like us, you would call them. If you don't have a company like us, your Best Buys that have the technicians at those, Staples have good technicians. Those are the types of companies you can look for, or get in touch with us. I can give you some advice and recommendations on where to go. And I put that in there because we've had instances where we'll go in, somebody will get a virus, and we'll spend days trying to figure out what's going on. And then the person's like, well, I got an email with a voice message in it, and I opened it up, but nothing happened. Well, if we'd have known that, we could have fixed that. The best part about that story is that company doesn't have a phone system that emails them voice messages. He thought that, hey, we got voicemail coming to email now. That same person 3 weeks later opened a fax that he got sent to him, which again, they don't have faxing that sends them emails. What are they trying to do? I'd mentioned, keystroke logger. So what they're doing is they're just watching all your keystrokes all day long, everything you're typing. And what it's going to do is send them a file, again, text file, because it's safe. Send them a text file of everything you've typed in a day. So they're going to take that, and it's just going to be, there's no breaks, there's no returns. It's just, straight line of everything you've typed. And you may think they're going to run an algorithm on it so that they can figure out different information. So they'll run the algorithm, and here's some more questions. So what are 8 consecutive digits in a row? Pennsylvania driver's license. 9 digits. Bank routing numbers. 10 digits. Phone number. Yep, your phone number. 13 digits. Bank account numbers. 15 digits is a American Express credit card number. 16 is the rest, Visa, MasterCard, Discover. So what they'll do is they'll take that text file, they'll run that algorithm on that and look for those characters. They'll look for the, because you'll type them in, 502, blah, blah, blah. So then they'll get that information, and after you type that information in, usually you're buying something online or at Amazon, what do you type in right after it? Your address, credit card expiration date, security code, and your date of birth in some cases. So by the time they've got that, I've got everything I need to make a new identity or steal your identity or do whatever I want with your information. So common traps that you'll see, we'll get into some of that, the things to look for. How dangerous is social engineering? Gartner, who's a well-known entity in the business world, most damaging security penetrations will continue to be due to social engineering, not electronic hacking and cracking. Again, it's convincing that midnight help desk person to reset a password for you, convincing you, they'll call you and say, hey, I'm from Microsoft, there's something wrong with your computer, let me get a remote session started with you. We talked about the documents that you don't want to open, malicious PDFs. Hackers will create PDF documents. Once it's opened, installs the malware on your computer. PDF is a document that basically can't be edited. So if you do get a PDF and you get that malicious PDF, opening the email that contains it, opening a PDF document on your computer, printing it, or entering the information into a PDF form, which of those do you think can put your computer at risk? Opening it. Yep. Yeah, just opening it. Not opening the email, because you haven't really done anything with it at that point. But yeah, just opening it can put your computer at risk. If you do open an affected computer, a PDF file, install your latest version of Windows, scan it with virus protection, download the latest version of Adobe, or delete it without opening it. Delete it. You can, if you right-click on a document, you can choose scan on any document. You can do it on any folder, depending on your antivirus software. Most of them have a built-in menu that will scan it. Now again, most antivirus programs are going to be scanning on a continuous basis anyway. So, if you do get a PDF or get an email with an attachment, things that you want to do with it, either delete the email. If you think it's suspicious, contact the sender to confirm. Open the PDF, but do not respond to it, or forward it to a computer professional. I'll tell you one thing, dude. Don't forward it. I don't want it. So, anything you get, anytime you get an attachment, again, going back to that gut feeling, think before you click. You get an email from somebody with an attachment, but it wasn't something you were expecting. Melissa sends you an email with your statement, but you're like, it's February. Why would she be sending me a quarterly statement in February? Or it's just a little off. The best thing to always do is to call that person and say, hey, did you mean to send me this attachment? You don't want to reply to the email because you don't know where that email is going to, even if it says the person's name that you know. That reply could be going to the hacker. And they're like, oh yeah, I did mean to send that to you. Go ahead and open it. The best thing to always do is pick up the phone and call and talk to the person. Say, hey, did you mean to send this to me? If they did, it's safe. If they didn't, it's not. And just because you did get it from some person, and I'll use Melissa again as an example, does not mean that Melissa's computer is infected. 9 times out of 10, it means that somebody that has your email address and that sender's email address is the person that's infected, which at that point would be almost impossible to track down, because we all know everybody, and the group of friends that you'll know are going to have multiple connections in there. So, yes, if you are expecting that, if it is March 31st or April 1st, and you are expecting that quarterly statement from Melissa or your bank or your wherever, if you are expecting that, they are safe. You're doing transactions on closing on a house or whatever. I know that Jim is sending me documents back and forth, but if you get those documents at like 4 a.m., Jim's not up at 4 a.m. Did you mean to send this to me? And we'll get into some of that a little bit later. So, just like PDF documents, Word documents are the same. As I said, I can embed a lot of stuff into a Word document as well. They'll get in there, they want to put in hashes that they can try and then use that information to crack your password to get into your computer. And then, we all use the same password for a bunch of stuff, even though we shouldn't. Once they have one password, they're going to have the password to a lot of other things. So, same couple questions. If you're opening an infected Word document sent by somebody, once it's opened, it allows them to immediately take over your computer, sends your unencrypted Windows password to the hacker, sends an encrypted version of your Windows password, or sends the information you type into the Word document to the hacker. Sends an encrypted version of your Windows password. So once they have that, obviously they're going to use their own encryption to decrypt it, and then they'll have your password. Clues that will warn you that you've opened an infected document. Your antivirus software will warn you that the document's dangerous. The document will contain gibberish or not make any sense. Your computer will crash, or nothing will warn you. You may never know your password's been compromised. Nothing. You'll never know. It is scary. But again, that's why you use your gut. Think before you click. So, if you received a Word document attachment in a suspicious email, you should open it, see if the contents of the document look suspicious. Contact the sender to confirm the document before opening it. Scan it with antivirus software before opening it. Open it, use the File Open command inside Word instead of double-clicking it. Contact them, just like with the PDF document. Contact the person, say, hey, did you mean to send this to me? One more trick that you'll see, it's not as prevalent as it used to be. Hackers would go to companies or different parking lots and just throw thumb drives on the floor, on the ground. You'll go out and you're like, oh, hey, look, a thumb drive. I need one of these. You take it home, plug it into your computer. There's a convention out in Las Vegas every August called Black Hat, where basically all the hackers get together and talk about all the stuff that they are able to do, and then all the people in security listen to what they say and try and prevent them from doing it. Several people from my company go to that every year because we need to stay up on the latest security. One of the giveaways that one year was thumb drives. They handed out again, these are hackers. They handed out thumb drives. About 50% of the people took that thumb drive and plugged it into their computer. I thought that was funny. Fortunately, the guys from my company did not. So some red flags to look for. Most of the stuff's going to be based on emails. 7 different red flags we're going to look at. Who the email's from, who it's to, the date, subject, attachments, which we've pretty much covered, hyperlinks, and then just the content of the email. So the from line, do you recognize the person that sent it to you? Is it someone you know, someone you don't know? Again, if you don't know who it is, obviously you don't want to open anything. Is the sender's email address from a suspicious domain? The one I like an example of is Microsoft-support.com. Microsoft doesn't have the domain Microsoft-support.com. And again, like I said, Microsoft's not going to email you about updates. You don't know the sender personally, or they were not vouched for by somebody you trust. You don't have a business or personal relationship with the person who sent you the email. And it's unexpected, unusual, with different hyperlinks and things like that in the email. So those are things to look out for. The to line, and this is a big one. Were you CC'd or were you in the to field? But you don't, you're CC'd, but you don't know the person you don't know the person personally, or you don't know the other people who were CC'd or in the to field as well. Or it's an unusual mix of people, a random group of email addresses. The one example I like to use is, my personal email address starts B Martz. I've seen emails come to me that's, B R Martz, B C Martz, B D Martz, just a consecutive where they just change one or two things within that, and they just keep going and going and going, and they're like, 15, 20 email addresses in there. The date line, and this is where, depending on who your friends are, whether they're night owls, did you get the email at like 3 a.m.? Was it a really odd time? My company, that wouldn't be odd. They like to work late. Other things that you'll see was the date is either a day behind. So you're looking at your email, you'll notice you have an unread message from the previous day. You're like, I read all my emails yesterday. I don't know why there'd be an unread message in there. Or was it ahead? So that's always at the top of your email. So they'll change their date so that it will be a day early or 2 days early. So it's right at the top when you open your email. The subject, is it irrelevant? Doesn't really match anything that you do or you're involved in. Doesn't really match the message content either in the body of the email. The other one you'll see, you'll get emails with the RE colon, as in, they're replying, but you never sent them an original email. So they'll send messages where it looks like it's a reply to something you sent, but again, you never sent them an email. Again, they're trying to trick you into, oh, I must have sent this, and they want you to open something. Attachments, we covered some of that with the PDF and Word documents. But again, it doesn't make sense. You weren't expecting it. You don't really know what it is. You see, especially, like I said, the EXE. EXE is an executable file that instantly installs something on your computer. So you don't want to over-open. So the file that's always going to be safe to open, like I said, is a TXT file. So, hyperlinks. This is the one I like to show off a little bit. If you do get an email and it has hyperlinks in it, you can hover your mouse over top of it, or if you're looking at it on your phone, you can hold your thumb on the hyperlink, hold it down, and it will pop up what the actual link is. So if you look at this one in particular, westernunion.com, where you'll see ERNUNIOM instead of an N. So you look at the hyperlink, it's spelled right, but if you hold your mouse over, it's going to take you to something else. You'll mouse over something like this, and you'll see it'll be a hyperlink that's 3 or 4 lines long. You don't want to open things like that. Another one you'll see that hyperlinks where it is intentionally, it's not even right, but Bank of America, if you just glance at it, you may not notice the R and N together instead of an M. So the Comcast and the Verizon email accounts, you'll see a lot of stuff will happen to them all the time. Just because, even if you don't use it, if you have Comcast for your service, you have to have an email address with them. So you'll see stuff come through all the time. PHP, most of that's going to redirect you to a website. But again, if you're not sure what it is, why it was sent to you, things like that, you just got to be careful opening those. The content of the email is the sender asking you to click on a link or open attachments, to avoid a negative consequence, like, openness to, the emails that you'll see from your friend who's stuck in Paris and they got robbed, and, send me what money through Western Union, where you're sitting next to your friend having dinner, but you get the email that they're in Paris. The email out of the ordinary have bad grammar, spelling errors. You'll see a lot of that when it is coming from Asia or Eastern Europe, the Russia area. Their English isn't very good, so the English in the body of the message is going to be very garbled, not read clean as you're reading through the message. Asking you to click on a link or open an attachment seems odd or illogical. Again, give you that uncomfortable gut feeling that they want you to open something. or they're asking you to because they've got compromising, embarrassing pictures, things like that. We've all heard if you haven't heard them, send us money now. I've kidnapped your grandson. They'll send money, and yet grandson's just fine sitting at home. Here I got a couple examples of things that were sent to me. And coincidentally, and I picked these ones because it was coincidentally enough about a few hours after I did go and change my Apple ID password, I got an email. Again, you can see who it's from, guib17@icloud.com. Avoid account suspension. Click here to confirm my account now. When I moused over top of it, the dummystales.com was the actual website it was taking me to rather than apple.com. A few hours later, I got another one, no reply at apple.com. So it looks legit. Automatic message sent by your security system lets you know you have 48 hours to confirm your account information. Again, click on the link to validate, tr.im secure mama. So what should you do if you do get messages? Again, like I said, contact the person that sent it to you. Be aware what they are doing. If you're expecting it, not expecting it, you're not sure what it is, like I said, don't reply to the email because, again, the reply, even though you think it's going to, your friend Bob or your friend Carol, it could be redirected to the hackers that are going to say, yeah, that's fine, click on it. And then the next thing you know, you've been compromised. If you get emails from, again, for the banks and things like that, if it has a number in the email, don't call that number. Because, again, you're calling the hacker. Look up the bank website, go to the bank's website or the organization's website, look their phone number up on their site, not on the number in the email. Don't click on links in email, even if you know they are legit. This is kind of for me. I'll get my emails with my bank statements and things like that. Rather than clicking on the link with even in the email, even though I know I get that statement every month, I'll open up Internet Explorer, Chrome, whichever my browser is, and just type it in and go that way. And monitor your accounts. Monitor everything. That's the best thing to do, especially if you're worried about credit cards and things like that getting compromised. I know for my bank, I get an email every day of all the transactions that processed that day or the previous day. It comes to me and comes to my wife, so we can both check and see. Oh, hey, did you spend $25 at Wawa? Yeah, I was hungry. Things like that. You can set the notifications. I'll get notifications from our bank. We set a dollar limit, so any transaction over a certain dollar limit sends an email right then and there too. So I think we set ours at like $20. So anytime that she goes to Acme, she goes to BJ's, pays for the groceries, we both get an email saying this happened. That way we can monitor. We'll know if you get a notification that your card was just used at a gas station in Virginia, yet you're not in Virginia. You can know about it right away. And then smartphone apps. Like I said, everything's on here. You can put apps on here that monitor and send you alerts. I know American Express does it. Anytime I do a transaction on my Amex, a little message pops up on my phone saying, this much processed on your Amex card. Things like that. Discover Card does it as well. So those are just little things to monitor what they're going. Again, they're going after your bank information. So if you're monitoring your transactions all the time, you can cut it off before it gets too bad. So I'll end it again, with the common theme: think before you click. If you're not sure, if your gut's telling you, it just doesn't seem right. Something's not. I just don't I'm not sure. Think about what you're going to do. Be aware, be conscious, and tell others. Like I said, we do this for our clients as a company, but we also do it because we want others to know, because we don't want anyone to go through this. Getting your identity stolen, getting credit card taken, things like that is just not fun to deal with and takes a lot of time. So,
thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really great presentation. So thank you everyone for coming, and be careful driving home.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Brian Martz. If you have a friend or a relative who is considering their financial options, please feel free to invite them to accompany you to one of our upcoming events. Visit our website at www.martz.com MartzWealthManagement.com for the most up-to-date listing of these events. Over the years, many of our clients have asked Melissa to speak with a friend, relative, or colleague concerning private financial management. Melissa considers it an honor and a privilege and has been happy to accommodate those wishes. For your future reference, please be aware of the standards by which she complies with such requests. First, confidentiality is the cornerstone of our business. Each of our client relationships is distinctly separate and totally private. Second, thoughtful and courteous service is guaranteed. This is a people business. Finally, Melissa will never give advice and counsel to a client without thoroughly understanding his or her needs. Please contact us at 215-513-6240 or send Melissa an email at melissa@martzwealthmanagement.com. Melissa H. Martz is a registered representative, securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer. Member FINRA SIPC. Melissa H. Martz is an investment advisor representative, Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Martz Wealth Management and Cambridge are not affiliated.